My name is Zac Cohn. I'm from Annapolis, Maryland, but I go to school in Rochester, New York. I help manage American Parkour, the biggest parkour organization in the United States and one of the biggest in the world.
What are your influences? People that you admire now in the community?
As far as role models in the community, Jesse Danger from New Jersey and New York was probably like one of my biggest and one of my first. But my first really big jam was PKNY, the big jam in New York City.
Right.
And Jesse hosted that. So I met him and I stayed with him and I trained with him for a lot. It was really cool and he was really cool. And he's just like a very unique way of moving. Like everyone does parkour. And if you look, everyone does Kong vaults. Everyone does, whatever vaults. Everyone does balance work.
Right.
And like Jesse does that stuff too, but he just has this really, really unique way of moving, which I really, really admired.
People outside the parkour community or things that have to do with parkour that you are inspired by? Like
Lawrence Halpern, actually. Lawrence Halpern was a architect who died about a week and a half ago at age 93. And he designed and built, I would estimate, 80% of the major hotspots in the United States of America. Mm-hmm. And he had this like very unique vision. Before David Bell vaulted out of his cradle, he was building these things. The ability to see different ways to utilize the urban environment.
What kind of training do you find yourself doing nowadays?
My training has really been focusing on overcoming fear lately. And I realized that there's a lot of things in the night or in the day that I know I can do. There's no doubt that it's well within my skill limits. When you're at more advanced level, I feel like it's necessary to do things that are scary and have the potential for danger, but are still well within your skill limits. I've really been focusing on standing there, looking at it, and then just doing it.
APK announced that they are working with, was it Motion Inc., something like that?
Yeah, Motion Inc. is a company that consists of Mark and a couple other people. Did they say who the TV company they're working with is?
I think they did. I forget the name of it offhand.
Okay, I don't remember if that's still under wraps or not. We've been working with a company, apparently, to develop some sort of, again, like another television show or event or something. There's a couple different options on the table. The whole tribe and a couple other people have been involved with what it would consist of, and we're trying to keep as much creative control as possible. Motion Inc. is the company that's kind of representing the pitch part. They're pitching it to the networks and whatever. And Mark's, in charge of that. And that's a way that we can keep a lot of creative control over the process to make sure that the MTV thing doesn't happen, to make sure they're not emphasizing the bails, to make sure that while it has to be competitive for it to be attractive to a television audience, it's friendly competition, not, like angry competition. Yeah, and that's the kind of atmosphere we want, because frankly, that's the kind of atmosphere that exists in parkour. There is competition in every single jam, but it's friendly. It's like, you do a sweet Kong to cat, and your friend is like, oh cool, I want to try to do that. And so they do it, and they land it, and then you're both trying to race to see who can do like a Kong to precision instead of a catch. And like, that's competition, whether people want to admit it or not. But it's friendly, and that's the kind of atmosphere that we want to keep. I think it's going to spike. I don't think parkour's popularity has spiked yet. I think when the American Parkour, whatever it ends up being happens, I think that'll be huge and will do a huge amount to spike popularity. I think the more and more it's in movies, the more and more popularity will spike until it's a common household term and everybody knows what it is. The more and more time goes on, the bigger and bigger it'll get. And it'll always have that like underground feeling to it, even if it's not truly underground. I think the more and more you have people learning about it and getting more experience and teaching it, the more and more it'll grow.
Do you see this being your main source of income? Do you see it as something that will always remain an interest for you? What do you think is going to be your place in the future?
I'm hoping to continue to be a leading figure in parkour and in the development of parkour. I'm working for Primal and American Parkour this winter. I hope to continue working there after I graduate and just finding more ways to help parkour grow and help it spread and help maintain the positive image. There's a lot of places we can go with it, and there's a lot of good that it can do. And I want to see that happen as well as it can. So I'm really, really hoping that there are ways to develop a career around parkour and not just performing.
Do you have any final comments, words of wisdom, anything you'd like to say?
Parkour's awesome.